You know, water is a very important resource for wildlife. They've got to have water. Sure. That's just one of the things they need, like everybody else, everything else. As far as water on your property, what have you done to improve the water for the wildlife there?
Well, basically, we are fortunate to have 2 springs. Actually, I think we have 3 that put water into. It was a creek at one time, and then there was a railroad track that went behind it, and so when I looked out across there, I saw I just imagined that being a lake.
Right.
And so we took those trees and we did 2 good things. We just pushed the trees over into those brush piles.
Right.
For the animals to hide in, and then we dug it out. We had good clay. We had somebody come to soil test it. Right. And we had good clay where we could build a dam, a real dam, 3-to-1 slope dam. And when they got through with it, we had a 2.5 acre pond, which is about 18 foot deep. Right. At the deep end, and then we have all kinds of trees in it. Okay. For the fish habitat. Right. And then it comes up a creek, and at the creek, it's almost 10 foot deep there. Okay. And so plus there's water from those springs that make puddles that they even drink
throughout the property.
Yes.
Yeah. Those springs, they feed into the lake.
Yes.
Okay, so that keeps the water level up.
In fact, when we have a huge rain, we've gone down there and tested it and got a gallon pan and put up under one of those culverts where those springs are running through. Right. And we fill it up in 3.5 seconds.
That's a lot of water flow.
It's a lot of water flow, about 36,000 gallons a day.
That's incredible.
And so we're blessed with those springs.
You know, when those springs are not flowing that well, they're just trickling. Yes. Like I think they are probably right now. You know, you can improve those. You can go in there and open those up, clean out a lot of the debris, the leaves and limbs and things, and actually somewhat dam one up, you know, just with a small curbing of some sort to kind of develop a pool so that the wildlife that aren't coming to the lake but are on the other part of your property up slope there, they can have pooling water that they can drink from. Right. And that'll help them a lot. Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
So you know, a lot of people don't have access to water. They don't have something they can dam up that is going to make a lake that's as large as what you're talking about. Or they don't have a creek running, they don't have a spring running, so no water for wildlife at all. There's no doubt, you know, most properties the wildlife can leave and go get water, but if you want to provide water there on your property for the wildlife, you can build something called a guzzler. And that's where you build a structure that is like a tin roof, and the water runs off into a guttering, and then it runs into a holding tank, and then stores the water there, the rainwater, and then in some watering troughs, as the wildlife drink the water and as it evaporates, has a float on it, and then it lets more water in as it's needed. So wildlife can find water on about any property that the landowner would want.
Yeah, not all properties have water, and I know the property to the south of me, there's a 55-acre piece there. Right. And I talked to him one day, and he said he has no water, period, on that place.
And maybe he wants to build a guzzler.
No, I told him just send all this deer and everything to me. So. Well, anyway, but that's a good idea. Okay. So we do have, I know we do have animals coming from, we have hundreds of acres of woods around us. And we do have animals coming through the woods from other properties. I mean, we even hunt them when they come across into our property. Right, right. So water is very important.
No doubt, very important. We know that water is good for wildlife, right?
Right.
But sometimes, you know, you can have too much water, right?
Yes. And in fact, I have too much water in one place where I have a deep sand hill.
Yeah.
And I take my tractor and I have to just continually, if I get a 2-inch rain, we're going to have big ruts
Yeah.
down it, and that water, that all runs downhill. So
Right.
is there a good way to stop it?
Yeah. Well, there are ways. I mean, it's hard when you've got sand and you've got that much slope, and if you get a good rain, it's you're going to have erosion,
Yeah.
and erosion can be a problem. One thing is that erosion is taking sand right down into your lake,
Yeah.
and eventually it's going to start filling it up with the sand there, and your road is going to be impassable eventually because it's in pretty bad shape. I mentioned to you water bars, and you had not heard of a water bar. Water bar is something that can be developed to steer the water, pretty much steer it and send it off to the side of your road and off into the woods where there's vegetation, where there's trees with roots that are, the soil there is stable.
Like rice farmers call them levees.
It's kind of like a levee. It's a levee. It goes across your road at an angle, and like I say, it just takes that water and pushes it
Well, you
off
see,
to
I
the
had
side.
that one at the front there,
Right.
and that saves a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
it worked pretty well, but down below it, it's
Down
just
below it is
really eroded.
really eroded.
So water bars, maybe bringing in some soil that's has a little more clay to it to stabilize some of the washouts. So there's some things that can be done, but erosion is a problem on a lot of people's properties,
Right.
And they just have to address it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll do the best we can with that.
Well, it just takes time, takes a
Yeah.
lot of effort, and just sticking to it.
Well, is there anything else I need to do that you see out there that would improve my property?
Well, there are a few things you can do. Some of your rights of ways and some of your roads there, they're kind of grown over, and the trees are topping out and hanging over, and kind of keeping vegetation from growing on those openings. And you need to utilize all of the openings that you can.
Okay.
So if you can, we call it daylighting the roads, and if you can cut back a little bit on each side with a bush hog, with doing some shredding, or may even go in with your tractor and push some things back and just open it up and let some sunlight to that road.
Okay.
And because a lot of your roads are not used all the time,
That's right.
so it doesn't hurt for them to grow up with a little vegetation there. Some other things you can do, of course, we always recommend doing controlled burns, because that is just very good for a lot of different wildlife species. It's a natural thing that used to occur in the woods, and opens things up, and actually will kill some of your smaller trees to kill them back to the roots, so that the roots will resprout. And when the roots resprout, then that provides a lot of food for the deer, because I know the deer are important for you.
That's right.
Out there. So if you can open up those roads like that, and then do some controlled burns, you're going to improve a lot of for your deer habitat. And also, if you have any turkeys in the area, it's also very good for them and for nesting habitat.
Well, I see them coming. I've seen a few in East Texas. But,
Yeah, we do have some
but
turkeys.
I think we have some good habitat for them there. Let me talk to you a little bit about controlled burning.
Okay.
Because it's been a fear of mine to catch the woods on fire.
Right, I understand that.
And so how do you suggest going about controlled burning?
Well, I'd have to suggest first that you hire a professional.
Oh, okay.
Because there are some different companies that they do it for a living. They are bonded, and they have insurance, because that's what you want to make sure.
Sure.
They have insurance, and there are some out there that are certified by the state, and so that's what I'd
good
recommend.
information.
But we're going to do some small little burns, a little bit of information that you can gather from the Texas Forest Service or through Parks and Wildlife. We can educate you on some things that you can do so that you can do it safely.
Well, I've always been like I said, I've always been afraid of large burns.
Sure.
And
sure. We like to do them in small
I don't want to burn
pieces.
my forest down.
You don't want to burn your forest down, and you surely don't want to burn somebody else's
That's
forest down.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Okay.
That's good.
And so that's something we can do is clear back the lanes,
right,
so they can get more sunshine in there.
Exactly.
And there's another part of the lane just above the last spring that we looked at. That probably can be planted because it's
the abandoned power line right
yes,
away?
the abandoned power line. That probably can be planted, and we ought to do that too.
Sure.
Because we actually have a protein block center there, and we also have a deer feeder up there and a deer
deer blind.
Deer blind.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Couldn't think of it.
Okay.
And but that's and we've had deer come through there.
Right.
And and they go down that road that crosses it up front.
Okay.
So we haven't done much up in that area.
Right.
So that could be something else we could do.
Right. And there's some other things. I just thought of something else. Thinning your timber, because a lot of times your timber will get too thick. You may not be trying to grow timber out there for money and try to make a living off your timber or anything like that, but sometimes it's just too thick. And you can thin the timber out and open up to allow, kind of like daylighting the roads or daylighting the woods, and you're allowing sunlight to the ground. And in the meantime, you might come in there with some kind of a mulching machine also, or bush hog, and bush hog some of the thick stuff, the understory. And white-tailed deer, they're not real tall animals, so they can only eat in a certain distance from the ground up. And so a lot of the trees are in your understory is growing too high. So when you go in there and do the thinning and do a little shredding, bush hogging, you can knock things back, or the burning also, back to that rootstock, and that way it resprouts, and the deer have a lot more better food. And again, it creates nesting habitat for turkeys and other birds.
Great.
Sonny, I'd like to just thank you today for what you've allowed us to come out on your property and video and just show us what you've been doing out there. And you're doing a great job, and really enjoyed it today.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Very, very good. And we just appreciate everyone out there watching this video. Hope that you get something from this. Hope it will help you to be able to manage your property better. And on behalf of Parks and Wildlife and the Cherokee County Appraisal District, we thank you, and take care.